Yeah, 2 more minutes to start. 22. So meanwhile, you guys can go through these project management funda.
Hi everyone, good morning.
Hi, Ram Mohan. Good morning. Yeah, we are 28. Let's wait for a minute. Is my screen visible to all?
Yep, visible.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for confirming. Once again, good morning all. We are 41 now. Let's start. Thank you for joining on this Saturday morning for PMI Pearl City chapter knowledge sharing session. Today's topic is leveraging emotional intelligence for professional success. And few ground rules for the meeting. Please network through the chat window. Post all your questions using the chat option. They will be answered during the Q&A session by the presenter speaker. One PDU will be credited to you automatically within 1 week of the session. Kindly be patient and wait for, I'm seeing a lot of messages in the Telegram about the PDUs. Your PDU will be credited. There is a changes in the project management settings and website technical issues are going on. So PDUs will be credited to you within a week. And you can write, if any issues, you can write to events@PMIPCC. And let's welcome our today's speaker, Sirisha Abhinandana. And she's having close to 20 years of experience in customer service and over 15 years in learning and development. And she's having a privilege of working with diverse individuals and teams, helping them grow, perform, thrive. And she's a certified ICF associate and counseling psychologist, passionate about enabling personal and professional transformation. You can see on the screen also, you can read. So let's welcome Sirisha, and over to you, Sirisha.
Thank you, Saujanya. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing today?
Good,
You
Silke.
can start sharing.
Okay, and I'll try to welcome you for today's session on emotional intelligence through office dynamics, right? So when we talk about this, what runs into your mind? Everyone talks about a lot of AI because that is the in thing right now. Everyone talks about artificial intelligence, but my heart goes out to emotional intelligence, being a mental health expert. So, what comes to your mind when we talk about office politics, emotional intelligence, and how will that affect the professional success? Anybody would like to say something?
Abhinandana, what I feel is this emotional intelligence, though I don't know much on that, I want to hear from you. But what I
Sure.
understand is when you are working for business, when you are working professionally, you should keep
Mhm.
away your emotions. Emotions should not play
Okay.
affect your decisions. Okay,
Mhm.
that much I know. I think,
Mhm.
yeah. But this is somewhat different, actually. Yeah.
Yes, that's actually quite a different variation of what I was assuming. So we'll try to learn in depth as to what is emotional intelligence in the first place, and how will that affect the office environment is something we'll try to learn. Okay, let's get
Yeah.
started. Okay, so today we'll try to know the role of emotional intelligence in workplace dynamics, recognize different types of workplace politics. And when we actually say workplace politics, it sounds very negative, right? So is it really that negative? What do you think so? Because office politics, but if we say we always assume politics itself as a negative word, and when it comes to again office environment, it's like so much of negativity around, so much of favoritism, so much of trying to blow their own trumpet. So people they tend to talk a lot about in a very negative tone. So what is your say on that?
I would say it all depends on the situation that we are in. I feel there's nothing right or wrong. It's just a situation and how we perceive the situation.
Okay, very rightly said that. So today
if
we'll try to
yeah if
sorry, please go ahead.
if it is going on competitive type, then
Mm-hmm.
it's positive, and if
Mm-hmm.
going on negative side, then it's bit difficult to manage.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So when you say negative side, it'll affect negatively, what do you mean by that? Could you please elaborate a little bit on that?
Sometimes the target, if we go for IT, then if impact the business and impact the process of execution when we are in the critical point, right?
Okay.
So that time it will be negative, right? And if it is going to competitive side, hey,
Mm-hmm.
politics, you are not able to do, okay, no problem. Yeah, another employee is there, and he can do, right? So that way it is positive, right?
Okay. All right. Very rightly said, sir. We'll try to see in detail as to why, if it is really important, does it sound negative or positive? Let's try to discuss in detail. So in today's session, our goal is to help you walk away with practical tools to navigate any work environment, no matter how practically or politically charged they are, right? So whether if you're aiming for a promotion, and if you're already into a leadership role, seeking a peace of mind at work, that is totally important, because what tends to happen is we try to carry work at home as well. Whatever affects at work, it tries to affect a personal life as well. So we really have to draw a line between professional and personal life, right? So we have a couple of tools that we can strategically think about of the edge of being emotional intelligent. Okay. So I have a quick activity here. Think of a time wherein you experienced or observed workplace or office politics. what was the emotion going behind there? Were they dramatic? Were they trying to, do any sorts of things? So what kind of an scenario you guys happen to see it? Whether maybe you were part of it or you try to, something came to your, supervision. So think of a time wherein you experienced the office politics there. I somehow call it as a political radar because it's like, radar is something that, it draws a little bit of attention there. So any scenario that you guys came across as leaders, wherein your peers or your colleagues try to observe a little bit of politics, wherein we try to know the emotional quotient of, what had happened there. Was it an kind of an urge of emotions, or we're just venting on their frustrations? How was the climate there, if I can say the word climate? How was the climate in that scenario? I hope you guys can hear me, right? Why there's so much of silence all of a sudden? You guys are...
Sirisha.
Yes, we can. Prashant here.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Sirisha?
Yes, I can hear you. Please tell me, sir.
I mean, I don't know whether it comes under a political radar, but I have gone through a situation. I mean, I could visually see it because when it comes to the project management perspective, not for a single organization, I find every organization and every team member says as to what their manager says, so that they can be in the good eyes. I mean, I don't know whether it comes under the political aspect or not. Just to be in the good terms with the manager or their superior, they say as to what their manager or their superior says. And in the course of this thing happening, they might lose their timelines or the deadlines. And instead of being in the good terms, they get their reputation depleted. I mean, just to impress their superiors. This is how I could not digest. Like, this is happening in every organization just to impress the managers for the sake of the salary, or for the sake of their reputation, or for the sake of being in the good terms. I mean, I don't know how should I take this in the political aspect or in terms of professional aspect. This is one situation I have seen and I faced it too.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what according to you when you've seen all of this, what made you feel? What kind of emotion? Maybe did you try to speak to that particular person as to why are you even doing that?
Yeah, I did. I mean,
good.
Every project, the timelines. I mean, I have written an article on this. Like, every project deadline should be very much realistic, but that is not happening in the current situation. I mean, thinking that you are weak in this aspect. I mean, the judgmental thought process of opposite person has been in such a way that if you are slow, that means you are weak in certain aspect. But the person is very much sure that is a tough deadline to meet, and I just talk to them and let them know that this is not the right deadline that you have set for this particular sprint or the project that you have assigned to. I mean, this way I keep telling them, but I don't know whether it is a pressure of their superiors, but they have to take up the task on their shoulders and get their blood or the sweat to get the deliverables done. I don't know how this is going in terms of project management perspective or organizational perspective.
See, no matter which company or which streamline that we are into, this kind of things we tend to come across, and we cannot do anything in certain matters, and there is something that the things are not in our hands as well, right? So it's just a very dicey situation there. Yes, Lata ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to share a couple of experiences that I have had in the past. One is you're dealing with a project where there are shared resources and a typical on-site offshore model, and on-site doesn't have that visibility of what is the sharing being, what percentage of sharing, and the associate in the project is not able to give enough time. And then when it comes to showing the delivery, there is obviously you're falling back on it, and then you're typically as a project manager, you're being pushed under the bus. It's a decision taken by the delivery manager, about the shared resources, and then there is the team lead who is supposed to technically lead the project from a delivery, aspect is not showing up and not raising flags or not raising hand when there is a likelihood of delay, and and you're typically as a project manager, you're being pushed under the bus. Nobody comes to you feel so frustrated, uh, because when you're point blank, your on-site team asks you the question, is this resource working full-time on this project? You have to say yes. And when you say no, you don't have a choice. So yeah, that's one scenario I wanted to bring up. And I'll let others speak about any other thing. Otherwise, I'll bring up another one as well.
Yeah, please go ahead. I'll try to take another point from someone as well. You please go ahead, ma'am.
I just give me a few seconds. I'll let other person take it. Next one, I'll talk about it.
Sure. All right. Great. Yes, please.
So my scenario is in a completely different. We were running the project with a very good quality score, very good CSAT, is what we call as customer feedback on a monthly or quarterly basis. And the deliverables were pretty good. Everything was going very green.
Okay.
But a new salesperson has been appointed at on-site, and the salesperson met a customer, and the standard thing, what they ask is, do you have any feedback to pass on to the offshore? And the statement was, any project you deliver, there is a threshold of 99.9% or 99.95% of quality what you deliver. My customer was expecting a 100% quality. So the salesperson put across, customer is not happy with the quality.
Oh, okay.
Just missed out an email, 0.5%, how we can improve.
Okay.
Which pulled out in a political ladder across the teams. Because they never looked at the stats and other things. They started putting in a blame game or putting everything straight onto the project manager, and things were going really bad. Nobody was talking about the root cause analysis. Nobody talking about what was happened, why the feedback is negative, what was the history. So everybody started the political game. Just I used a pause method. So I did a pause and then listened to all the peoples, made a note of them. Then I had a call with the customer. What was your feedback?
Okay.
So it's all just because of that 0.05% quality fit has been improved. So that clearly sets that how politics will happen within the organization, and how the other team members or the leadership or different level of cadres or different functional teams we work use that political elements clearly showed me in that time.
Yes. So what I can take away from your experience, Jay, is that you paused, you analyzed, and then you got back to the customer yourself and try to understand as to what went wrong, if I understood you correctly, right?
Yeah.
Great. That is something that we'll try to talk about, that you did a very right thing by pausing, then reacting, and trying to brush it off under blaming everyone else. But you took that initial step of taking owning it, taking the responsibility and solving it. That's actually a pure leadership quality that you have. So I would really appreciate, do not let that go off from you, because a lot of people, they tend to try to put it on someone else and try to play the blame game. So let's not do that.
Yeah. No, I was more confident about my customer feedback, and the salesperson was just 3 to 6 months old. So I hardly met my customer for 3 to 4 times. So definitely there should be some communication gap. So instead of putting across, let's take the blame and listen and then take an action. So which really worked out well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let's others talk on this.
Thank you. Yes.
Sirisha, this workplace politics, no, what happens is if one person does sporadically, we won't need to discuss this. But what happens is this is propagated by some influential people, the so-called managers or senior managers. They have some set of people who report to them or who aligned with them for some reason or the either they may be going for booze, they may be going for I mean their subordinates or their friends, relatives. What they do is if somebody is working very hard and giving results, they get envious about other people and they can keep propagating something they unnecessarily discuss. They waste time on such discussions rather than on productive discussions. Okay, in the office or outside the office or on lunch time, like that. And
The
the
chai
thing,
breaks that they take.
and another thing is they, without even speaking to the person, these people will stamp that so and so is like this, which is actually will be far from true. Okay, but the thing is, to have my importance, to have my influence on my people and in the organization, people play this kind of politics for some kind of immediate gains. The people at the other side is need to be very confident. If they are sincere, we need to, I mean, one thing is, if you simply say yes, start recognizing them, then everything will, I mean, your health will be fine, you won't be under any some kind of negative energy or like that. But if you want to take stand and want to, you don't need to counter, but even if you ignore them, no, you need to have lot of courage. Probably you may be going through some amount of negative energy because for no rhyme or reason people are stamping you like this. But ultimately, if we decide that if not me, who else, if that kind of courage we show and we don't give any acknowledgement of such politics or such bad vibes, I think that is two ways of getting over this kind of office. Either you surrender and you just make friendship with them. The second thing is you counter that with your conviction and courage.
Yes.
Actually,
Yes.
that's what I want.
Counter that and expect a low rating in your, in the end of your placement.
You see, at least from within your this thing, your body or your conscious would be clear on that. You have not surrendered to your values. You have not surrendered to
Yes.
your what I want to say no. I will say no in front of you or in front of anyone also. But I
Yes.
cannot be keep saying yes to you and no outside, something like that. But, I mean,
Right.
all these issues comes if you speak differently at different instances. And the same amount of treatment I'll give you for you, treat you differently. I'll treat some other person differently because he has not saluted me, he has not, I mean, done something for me. This is all, I mean, politics, I mean, happens because of such trivial matters, frankly speaking.
Yes. I so agree with you on that. Certainly. Yes. Great. So, with the interest of time, I'll just take one last input from Ranadeep, right? Please
Yeah,
go ahead.
thanks, Sirisha. I would just want to talk on the ratings, right? Especially when a manager gives a high rating to an employee they personally like, even their performance was average, and this can motivate, who employees who are performing better, and sometimes favoritism works, and people feel frustrated, and strong emotions flies during this time. There's a chance of losing the employees as well. So I see this often with my colleagues. Though it's confidential not to share their ratings and everything, they do share and they feel a lot of emotional. They compare. So there's a one
Something
chance.
like, the ratings and pay packet is something supposed to be very confidential, but it's like an open
Exactly.
secret. Everyone discusses, everyone
Yeah,
knows their salaries and
everyone
ratings and
this.
everything.
Yeah, exactly. And that time, people feel a lot of emotions flies, and you know, so just thought to put it across. There's a high
Yes,
chance I feel
yes.
emotional.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Randir. I think you spoke in one of the points that I wanted to highlight, that is favoritism. So we'll try to deep dive into that as well. So what I got the hint is like people take initiative first, and then they tend to reflect and not react. And favoritism, and there's a lot of run of emotions, right? So I thank you everyone for sharing your experience. And what we just did is the first step towards building emotional intelligence, that is acknowledging the current emotional undercurrents, because that is something that that's often dismissed, right? And it's often unspoken in the workplace. Like, tell yaar, it's okay yaar, what itna rotlu kyun ban raha hai, stop being emotional, there's nothing, to be emotional. A lot of people try to brush this off, right? You must have noticed a range of feelings coming up, like frustration, confusion, and even a lot of people, like you said, in emotion we tend to feel like, resigning the job right away, right? And in your ability to read the room, manage yourself, and respond with intention is what gives you the real edge. So keep this experience in mind as we move forward. We'll be coming back to it, like I said, in one of the favoritism thing. We'll try to talk about that in detail as well. We'll discuss how to apply these emotional intelligence in real life politics. And let's get to the heart of our session, which is the emotional intelligence, abbreviated as AI. Like I said, everyone talks about AI because that is a current thing. So what is emotional intelligence to you guys? What is emotional intelligence? And like someone said in the start of the session, do we really have to focus of being emotionally intelligent at workplace?
I mean, emotional intelligence is more or less like how we react to a situation.
Okay.
I mean,
great.
this is what I feel out of that emotional AI concept. I mean, how stable when it is a negative situation. How, depending on the situation, how we react, how we take it in, how we accept the things. This is what all goes into emotional intelligence.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yes, Sunil, you have to say something? Want to
Yeah,
add something?
for me, emotional intelligence is having a stable set of mind and ability to alienate your professional and personal lives together. I mean, not bringing your personal preferences into your profession, and having an able judgment, not to have an bias towards anyone. So this is what I feel is emotional intelligence.
So, but do we, when we say we try to term all of those that we're just discussing, right? But do we
Yeah.
put them into practice is the question. I'm not, targeting you, Sunil, as such, but that's on a very general note, because I've come from a corporate background as well. I've been into the L&D industry where I was a team lead, I was in a managerial role unofficially. And there are, since in certain situations, despite me knowing about all of these things, don't you think it's at times really difficult to follow? It's like easier said than done, right? It's a little difficult at times to not to show favoritism, trying to understand a bit of, not to let the emotion creep into the situation. But end of the day, we all are emotional beings, right? So being emotionally intelligent also plays an important role. It's like being emotional, but it should be rather being emotionally intelligent rather than being emotional, is what I would say. So emotional intelligence is not about being emotional. It's about being smart with your emotions, whether it's yours or the other person's. It's a skill that helps you stay composed when tension rises, listen deeply, excuse me, when conflict surfaces, and influence others without distorting to office politics or manipulation. There's a very heavy word. I hate to use this word, but these are such a heavy word of manipulation, and politics is a very heavy word to me, right? And the 5 components to emotional intelligence that you see on the screen, let's explore them in brief. Self-awareness. When you talk about self-awareness, what is self-awareness? This is like the foundation is the ability to recognize your own emotions, right? It's like, are you feeling really frustrated or angry or anxious? Am I reacting or am I responding? Because all through my, not, wouldn't say all through my life, in certain situations, or if people told me that, Sirisha, you're reacting, wherein I've showed my 100% patience level to a certain extent, But when it is time to show, when I'm really retaliating to something, they're like, Sirisha, stop being, you're reacting too much instead of responding. And I'm like, really? So like I said, it's like, really hard at times, because the other person whom we are trying to deal with should also be the same emotionally intelligent. Else it's like, we're talking to the wall and they just don't seem to understand, right? So did you all try to face any of the situations wherein you were told or you were alleged that, you were reacting than responding?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'm sure we've all had such situations in the past. And as long as you're putting up with it, you know, you're trying to be patient. And there is a point when you want to express your emotion, because all the while you've been trying to manage, and, you know, and then at that point, people think you're not, they don't expect that they say you have to put up with it, you're trying to be a crybaby or whatever. So basically you're trying to get their attention that this is beyond what it can go to, and still, you're the one who's being blamed. I think all of us have been through such situations.
Yes, absolutely. Another thing in self-awareness comes is when we're trying to do is why or what did that email frustrate me? People who are self-aware don't let their emotions hijack their decisions. But like I said, I'm not saying that you have to do this 100%. At times, like we are human beings, we tend to overlook the intelligence bit of, at times. But all I'm trying to say is stop, pause, and then respond and not react. Okay. And next comes the self-regulation. Once you're aware, you can regulate, because the first and foremost thing is you have to have the self-awareness. And secondly, once you have the self-awareness, you're supposed to do a self-regulation. And how and when can you regulate? Self-regulation is the ability to pause before reacting. It stays it's staying like professional even when you're provoked. There are a lot of these situations wherein you're provoked to act negatively or lose out your emotions, but intelligence says try to pause and then respond. Okay. Thinking is often as an emotional discipline, especially useful in political sensitive situations. So always when you're being provoked, take a pause, take a break. Even if you're in the middle of a meet, try not to react. Just, try to pause, and then maybe you can go ahead with whatever you have to say. Even if it is, you have to put it, I'm not saying don't put your point across, but instead of, maybe you have to slighten your tone, maybe you're really angry, but you really have to soften the tone when you're just not in a zone to do it. If possible, try to reschedule the meet, or if you're in the middle of the meet, just pause for a minute. I think 1 minute should be more than enough, because when you try to pause, you'll take a deep breath, and then you'll go ahead and respond. Right? Am I making sense, guys? This is something that even
Yes.
I faced. Thank you. So this is something
Yes,
that even
yes,
I
always,
faced.
always it will happen.
Yes, thank you. So next comes the motivation bit. This is your inner drive to pursue goals with energy and persistence, not because someone is watching, it's for your own self, right? Because you are one of them, right? So always try to have this inner thing that drives you to do the right thing at the right time. And people with strong emotional intelligence, which is EI or emotional quotient EQ, are often self-motivated. At times we do really need a push, but most of us are really self-motivated. They bounce back quickly from the setbacks and stay focused despite distractions or office place or workplace politics, right? All right, and next comes empathy. We all are now in a state wherein we do understand empathy, right? So this is often mistaken for sympathy, but empathy is something that everyone would look forward for. Someone being understood or heard or seen, right? Empathy is the ability to understand other person's emotional states and respond accordingly. It helps you navigate team dynamics and political behavior without being cold or confrontational. It so happens that at times you really want to understand what is going on, but if you're not putting it in a subtle tone or the way you're supposed to put it across, it might sound confrontational, wherein the person is already in a very low state and you're trying to confront them. that actually turn into a very ugly scenario, right? And social skills. This is where everything comes together. It is how you manage your relationships, build rapport, resolve conflict, and influence people positively. I think we all, as leaders, this is something that we all have to focus as well, right? Whether it's smoothing over tension, facilitating collaboration, or reading the room in a tough meeting. Social skills are what makes emotional intelligence visible to others, right? So I'll try to know which of these five do you think is your strongest for today, or which one do you think will you build more consciously as leaders? Which of these things resonated well with you guys, with everyone out here? Among the important ones here about self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation. Which one do you think you guys resonated well? None of them? Self-awareness, self-regulation.
I think social skills reading the room is critical in day in and day out, which I closely resonate in my day-to-day activities.
Right, true. Before we step into the meeting or when in the middle of a meeting, whatever is going on, we really have to read the room.
And we have to ensure ourselves like we are self-aware and regulate what could be the possible conversation come into the room, and whether we need to learn or what is the learning curve. We should have certain gestures there and empathize. I mean, all are applied, but social skills we have to is critical at the bottom.
Yes, actually, social skills summarizes the rest of them, right? If you have the first four, I think, then the social skills will try to be an add-on to it.
Yeah.
Everything blend of it is social skills, because as leaders, like you said, we really need to have all of this in place so that nobody is misunderstood. It so happens that how much ever you try to do things genuinely, we have been labeled as you're being trying to show favoritism, you're trying to give only certain tasks to certain people only. So we'll be able to be being labeled as all of these, right? Let's try to understand why EIM matters at workplace. Why do you think it matters?
Hi, Sirisha, Krishna here. See, hi, and good morning, everyone. See, one thing, emotional intelligence to me is unless we control our emotions, we cannot control others. If we don't control our emotions, it's very likely others who are crooked mindset, they can manipulate our emotions and use it against us. I mean, that's the fundamental drawback, especially people who have a negative vibe and controlling or manipulative, right? If we don't control our thoughts and emotions, and we know what to have a cool mind in working with such sort of people, that will be used negatively. If the moment you start reacting to something, that will be used against you. Okay, if I say something, he is actually taking it personally, I never meant it, that can be manipulated. I mean, that's practical. So unless we control our emotions and know how to discharge them in the way they should be, it helps us to control the situation rather than being controlled. That's my thought on that.
Very rightly said. Yes, Sachi. Yes. Very right. The only reason I'm trying to smile away because in whatever that you are saying, I was able to either have been in that situations or I've seen people being in that situations, and it's so resonating to me as well. I was able to relate to whatever you guys are saying scenario. So I just think that this entire workplace thing is like almost similar. In certain situations, maybe the hierarchy or even that I would say the intensity of it is maybe a little milder or more intense, but we've been through similar of these kind of situations.
Yeah, and just one other important point. I mean, see, if we don't control emotions, what happens is the rush of blood, we tend to lose control and we will either say or do something which will hurt us back, and no point in repenting at that point of time. I mean, because the moment they know your trigger point, that's what they will try for. They will be talking silently or doing under the carpet, but then we will be blowing up, and then everything is exposed against us. Oh yeah, this fellow reacted like this. So manipulation is a lot more if we don't have those emotions in control. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Sunil.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that you said, being ethical, it resonates with me because I can recall one of the instances like we had when I was working in Middle East. So I worked in a multinational where we have multicultural people, and unfortunately, like on a project that I was working, the project sponsor was a uh, American, I mean, a Lebanese citizen turned US citizen. So he was that, and a kind of a racial discrimination was there. He tried to influence who should be the vendors. I mean, company has got a very high ethical standards, so you cannot really just give you cannot award something to the persons of his choice. So it's a kind of a, I mean, it has to be in a very fair process. So I said that I could not bypass that. So he the entire project ran through that kind of a stress where he tried to corner at every point of time. But being on ethical side, like, he could not do anything. I mean, he could not control his emotions. And once he wanted to send an IT person to the office to install certain IT network equipment, but the office was not ready. AC was not ready. In a countries like Middle East, it's impossible to work when there is no AC. So when I said that, like, I can't send someone until unless the AC is switched on. So this is not in the project path. So we'll do it. He wanted to accelerate it just to prove his point. Then he could not contain his emotion. He sent an email saying that the guy who was supposed to go is a Filipino, so he can work under any circumstances. So he just put it in an email he could not contain. So it was a shot in arm for me. So I could send it across to our ethics committee of the corporate that is handled by a third party. And it led to his termination ultimately. And somebody who, just to prove it's a point, he could not control his emotions, that costed him his job. On the other hand, like, we had to bear with him. I mean, we had to, because nothing was on paper. So every time he used to recommend someone, it is on a phone call, which you cannot prove it's anywhere. So only thing that you can negate is through phone. Nothing was on paper. Nothing was on an email. So this was the first time, like, he could not contain anything, and he came on an email and he got caught. So that's what I said, that it is controlling your emotions and maneuvering, guiding other emotions and working ethically.
True, very rightly said. Ethics is something that, that has to be, ethics and integrity is something that should be, embedded into us. Let it be, no matter where are you working, not only in corporates, that is something that, we have to have this now that we're adults, and we really want to, let our kids also know about this, right? So ethics and all of this is something that, that has to be in us. I strongly, believe in that. But yeah.
But in corporate, I mean, my experience is, when you are ethical, when you are straightforward in with your dealings, so you often perceived as a troublemaker. Sometimes it might cost you certain opportunities, but anyhow, like, you have to lose some to gain some.
Yes, yes. Right. So first, let's try to bust the myth, like they say, right? Workplace politics isn't always negative, as they say at times, but it essentially the use of social skills, influence, and strategy to advance goals, both individual and organizational. The key difference, I think everyone will say yes to it. The key difference between toxic politics and constructive influence is the intent and emotional intelligence. Don't you guys think so? Toxic politics, office politics isn't wrong. I would say it's only the toxic politics, right? So politics is about influence and not just power. Not everyone has the potential power, but with emotional intelligence, you don't need to do a little to lead. A lot of people unofficially on papers are not assigned the role, but they actually try to do a lot of leadership programs and skills, and they take the responsibility, right? You can gain informal influence by building trust, reading the room, and communicating with the purpose. I keep saying the same thing, like reading the room and trust is and communicating. I think these are the very important things per me, wherein you might be hearing this often because I feel that these things are quite important, right? Think about a colleague who always seems to get things done even without being in charge. Chances are that they are using emotional intelligence, right? Okay. And high EI helps you navigate social dynamics ethically. People with high emotional intelligence can see through manipulation, handle pressure, and engage without losing the authenticity. They understand what's driving people, the insecurities, motivations, and fears beneath the surface, and respond with empathy and not ego. So, emotional intelligence allows you to manage your own emotional reactions so that you don't get pulled into drama or overreact in stressful situations, right? And what about emotional intelligence and increases resilience and likability and trustworthiness? People with high EI gravitate towards them, whether it's teammates or top leadership. These are the people who are sought out during a crisis or asking for input during change, not because they play games, but because they're seen as emotionally grounded and solution focused. So, what do you think is the, in workplace navigates well through ethically? What do you think? What do they do differently? Do you have someone at your workplace wherein they try to do things differently or something like that? Okay, you guys are able to see my screen?
Sirisha,
Yes,
Alex,
We can
time check also.
now. Yeah.
Okay.
Quick time check. We have another 10 minutes.
Okay.
Sirisha, Krishna here back. So just
Yes,
answering
Krishna.
to that previous point, see, basically leaders, especially managers, program managers, delivery people, whoever, right? The delivery heads. Critical would be not to immediately respond or react. That's probably not the right way. Okay, mostly what I typically do, or what I have seen people is they don't directly do anything. They try to get to the details of it. Okay, what exactly happened? They ask questions. They try to analyze the situation, and then look at the different aspects. So talk to people, and then look at options and evaluate the situations. Okay, is it in the right direction? Do I have to immediately do something, or is it something that I have to wait for something else to happen? So multiple factors are considered. There's no one single point I look, or when I've seen my leaders look into that, and then they take a comprehensive action in a way that whatever steps are taken, all the people are aware of it. The consequences are known, and we have a calculated and absorbable risk. When we know the risk and the consequences of taking the next steps. I mean, because if that maturity is not there, we tend to crash, and everything messes up. A lot of grapevine, miscommunication, misunderstanding, all negatives will open floodgates. So that's the way I would typically react, or have seen people react. Mostly summarizing, it's a cool head you need to have to understand the situation. That's it.
Okay. Okay, great. Rightly said. With the interest of time, let's try to quickly jump into the next slide, which talks about the recognizing workplace dynamics. So the things that we'd like to talk about is power plays, favoritism that we discussed, and office gossips, right? And power plays talks about this is when an individual or groups try to dominate decisions or conversations, often to control the outcomes or maintain their status. It might look like someone cutting off others in a meeting or influencing leadership decisions behind closed doors, right? Don't you think a lot of people try to do that when you try to talk, they're trying to just cut them off, and they're trying to maybe put the same point or in a different way. We have all seen this, right? And favoritism, like we all spoke a little earlier, this occurs when certain employees are consistently given special treatment or opportunities regardless of merit, whether they're incapable or whether they're talented. Irrespective of that, they try to show a lot of favoritism, and it can hurt the morale, like everyone else said, and create cliches, right? And gossips. Oh God, this is something that, everyone tries to see that. Gossip is something that, that can seem harmless, but it is often undermine the trust and create toxic environment. It diverts energy from productive collaboration to speculation. And the hidden agenda, sometimes people push personal or departmental goals without transparency. This leads to confusion and misalignment. So did you guys come across any of this kind of a gossip thing ever? Or being being that into favoritism, anything of that sort. We'll also try to understand their psychological drivers to it. Very common, yes, absolutely. Oh God, I'm sorry, just give me a minute. I don't know what keeps happening. I'm not a tech savvy person. It's just that, this presentation at times is quite this thing. Okay, all right. So what do you think are the psychological drivers? Insecurity comes when people feel insecure about their own role or performance, may engage in manipulative or political behavior. Need of validation. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, and acknowledged, right? Sometimes this need drives them to act in a way that are politically charged. Fear of exclusion. No one wants to be, left out in key decisions or groups, right? Any questions so far? Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because I don't see it on my screen though. Are you able to see the deck that I'm sharing?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, we can see Sirish.
Yeah. Now it stopped.
Yeah.
Do you want me to share?
Yes, please. Let's try to talk about the developing emotional awareness. That is something that, is a key point that I really wanted to talk about here. Practice self-reflection and mindfulness, improving active listening to connect with others, observe non-verbal cues and emotional shifts. So now when I talk about the emotional awareness, this actually sounds like a very fancy word. And no, it's like, know what's going on inside your head before it explodes out of your mouth. So this is something that
you can
we
move to
really
the
have
next slide.
Yeah.
Sharing the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, hope you're on the right slide, Sirisha. No?
Yes. Developing, yes, that's the one.
You can go ahead.
Yes. So when we talk about practicing self-reflection and mindfulness, what do you guys think about? This like they always say that, being emotionally intelligent and spirituality go hand in hand, but it's just their thought, I would say. But mindfulness is something that we really have to practice on a day-to-day basis, no matter if you're working, not working, whether you're trying to do something, an important task, always set aside few minutes each day to reflect. No incense or yoga mat required. Just ask yourself, or, if you don't have a yoga mat as such, when you're having a sip of coffee while taking a break, just think, why did that email make me irrationally angry? Was I really mad at my colleague or just hangry? You all know what is hangry, right? It's not angry, it's hangry. Are you guys aware of that word?
Not really. Hearing it.
Hunger plus angry.
Yes. It's at times like, no, मेरे बी पे चढ़ गया था वो email देख के. How can you say that to me? So there's a lot of gush of emotions and that blood pressure, that we really feel very angry at that time. Yeah, it's a mix of, being hungry and angry. But it also means that, this gush of emotions or the blood pressure that rises up the moment someone talks or interrupts or trying to take credit, right? So it's that. And improve active listening to connect to others. Here's a secret. Most of us aren't even listening. We are just trying to reload. Then, so try to be an exception out there. Nod, smile, paraphrase what they've said. It's just not a polite. It makes people feel heard and seen, because end of the day, everyone wants to be heard and seen, like I just said, right? So as leaders, this is something that very important, that you're supposed to be a little more into a listening bit. Okay, there was a slight power cut. So you guys able to see me, no?
Yes, we are able to see you.
Yes.
But I guess the presentation for some reason keeps going off.
I'm so sorry, guys. Just that, some technical glitch, I guess. Just give me a minute.
Yeah, it's visible now. Go ahead,
Okay.
Sirisha.
Okay, all right.
You want me to move
the technical?
Same slide?
Yeah. No, let's just be on the same slide. Just please excuse with this technical glitch. There's something keeps going on with this computer or with the current, I guess. So improve active listening to connect with others. Observe non-verbal cues. When I say non-verbal cues, how many of us are aware of non-verbal cues?
Body language.
Facial grimaces.
Absolutely. Verbal cues is something that when we talk, we tend to talk, the tone, everything matters. But what about non-verbal cues? There are people who do not want to, talk about it. Not everyone will be able to talk about it openly. So you really have to understand when they have crossed arms, rolling their eyes, or sudden silence might scream it louder than words. So become a detective, try to wear the Sherlock Holmes wala hat and meet the emotional wellness and try to understand from other people's emotions as well, right? So if I really have to shorten this, understanding this workplace politics, I would say pay attention to what's inside you, what outside you, and resist the urge to reply to stress with a snark, right? That's emotional awareness, and it will save you from more awkward hallway run-ins than you can count. So any other things that you like to add before I move on to the last one?
Sirisha, I want to add one point.
Go
On this slide, whatever you are saying about verbal communication and listening skills, probably, I do not know, some people would have covered business communications. There is a topic and that is a subject. If someone wants to understand more, the business communication a book or this thing that would be helpful, which in detail talks about the verbal non-verbal communication, importance of each of it, and written communication when you work in a cross-cultural environment, because you say something they may understand something differently. So importance of all that, just I wanted to add that.
Sure. Thank you so much for adding that point. Yeah, there are a lot of books on leadership and body language, especially, and all of these things. It's a must read. People, you might want to read that, because now that you are into leadership roles, it'll be an added advantage for you guys. Right? Yes, can we move on? Okay, next we'll try to talk about communicating effectively in political environment. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay, instead of, use always I statements to express thoughts without blame. Instead of you didn't include me in that decision, try saying I felt left out of the process and would like to be involved moving forward. If someone says to you that, you didn't let me, you didn't inform me, you didn't let me talk, you did not even inform me. So instead of saying that, just don't be that person where someone is trying to exclude you, right? This reduces defensiveness and openness the door to a real conversation instead of a blame game. Remember, leaders don't throw grenades, they diffuse them, right? Okay, clarify intentions and don't assume. There's a
Sirisha,
famous, yes?
what is the title of this slide? The title is blank actually.
Maybe you just hit enter.
Okay, right. Okay.
Sorry about that. Communicating effectively in office politics environments. I spoke about it though, but it did not show up there. Okay, clarify intentions, don't assume. Assumptions are like office coffee, often bitter and rarely accurate. So so you might relate to the coffee that we have it in the pantry, right? So don't fill in the blanks with your imagination. Ask questions like, just to clarify, what is the goal behind this approach? What are you trying to say? What you want me to do? This is what I want you to do. So don't assume, clarify what you want to say. This builds mutual understanding and prevents small miscommunications from snowballing and into, did you hear what they just did? Level kind of a drama. Again, just that now that we're into this kind of role, we just can't, try to boss around people, our tone, how we speak, how we communicate, instead of, all of these things matter because instead, if you assume and try to boss over, things will not be done. I hope going forward, you guys wouldn't do that anymore. If you're already doing that, well and good. If you're not, I would encourage you to start doing. And staying professional, I think everyone is aware of that. Under pressure, this is where emotional intelligence really kicks in, right? When tensions rise, your calm is contagious or at least less combustible, right? Pause, breathe, and choose a response over reaction. Like I keep saying, think of yourself as a thermostat and not a thermometer, which is like boiling, right? You set the climate and not everyone else, and not even your emotions, right? Engage or encourage transparent dialogue. This is something that I always practiced, and even my peers or my subordinates or even my managers, this is something that they kept telling me that, you're very transparent. I call a spade, and when it is, even though it is against me or for me, I try to call it a spade a spade. So this is something that, we have to do it irrespective in which position we are in. Let's put everything on the table and be where all concerns are here. You can try to use this kind of terminology and try to understand and be transparent. Any questions so far? Let's move on. And next talks about conflict resolution using AI. Can we move on to the next slide, please?
A minute.
Yes.
Sirisha, time check, it's 60 minutes over. We're about to overrun the time. So request to close in next 5 minutes.
Sure. Before we end this thing, I just wanted to know and understand conflict resolution using AI. Pause and name the emotion that's running, or whatever that's going on with you. Use empathy to understand or people's perspective from all sides. Focus on shared goals, seek win-win outcomes, wherein it's a win-win situation for everyone out there. It's not that easy, but try to do it so that win-win situation always gives a positive results, wherein you're happy, your peers are happy, and everyone, the whole team is happy, right? So when handled with AI, conflict becomes a platform for growth and not division. Show genuine interest in others, acknowledge and appreciate contributions, be consistent and trustworthy, avoid gossip and drama. I did have quite a role play, I would say, but I think we're running out of time. So if you can just move on to the takeaways bits, Saujanya, that'll be really great. I think I'll be done by that. This is the case study I had, but with the interest of time, we can move on. Or maybe take a look. We'll try to discuss this maybe at a later time. Yes. So emotional intelligence is your superpower in navigating workplace politics. Awareness, empathy, regulation, and communication are the important tools for AI at workplace politics. Practice is equal to progress. Every situation is a training ground. Now it's like you have a playbook in hand to handle workplace politics with integrity, confidence, and clarity. Now comes the question and answer bit.
This slide deck will be shared with you all. So I think almost throughout the session, it was very interactive and a lot of questions were taken. Maybe 2 more questions we can take. If anybody would like to unmute and speak or ping in that.
Yeah. Thank you, Sirisha, for the session.
Thank you.
Only challenge what I see is a fear of exclusion. I lead a team of 200 plus and have many different leaders. The leaders under me is always have a challenge of fear of exclusion. So they are not able to manage the teams effectively the way I look at. Do you have any recommendations or any other suggestions? So each leader style is different. I do understand that. But apart from that, anything else is there?
See, did you have a word with that person as to what is stopping them from reaching your expectations?
Yeah, I spoke to them on a daily or weekly basis. We do have scrums, but the challenge part is the first values also we look at social skills, emotional and motivations things.
Right.
But I always excuse them on certain areas. You motivate on certain events, certain functions when they do a great things, maybe a Men's Day celebrations or some events that makes a motivation. But that does not mean that you exclude on their working cultures. When the things are not achieved, you need to be validate the stats and present.
Yes.
But that fear factor is not growing them as leaders. So I do counsel them, but it's always once or otherwise it repeats across.
I would say try to enroll that particular person. Is he a first time manager or a leader?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the transition time maybe still taking time. Maybe
it's already 2.5 years. I nominated them on a couple of first manager course, which is our in-house customized training module. But still, it's same thing. So
I think it's maybe that maybe he was a good person or a good as an individual contributor. Maybe he's not. I'm afraid to say this. Maybe he's not a leadership person. Not everyone has a leadership quality in them, right? Either you try to give him more time, or if you really have it, or else you might have to rethink on your decision, is what I would say.
Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you. And if you have any library in your workplace, try to ask him to read. I do have sources. I'll try to, it's on the next slide. I'll share it with you guys as well. Ask him to watch a lot of leadership videos and read a book. Not everyone is into reading though, but we do have an app, Blinkist. So try to go through or download that app, and you can choose different set of books, and it gives a gist or a summary of what you really want to. I think that will also help because nobody has time to read books and all, right? So that app actually gives you a gist or summarizes what you really want on a day-to-day basis. It will give you how much time you have. You just have the onboarding questions that it has, and then you can try to read a book, maybe while driving, or you can even listen to it while driving. So that actually saves a lot of time. So try making him do all of this. And if it's still, is unable to reach your expectations, I think you're the best decision to do what you have to.
And sorry to interrupt. The moment I said a leader, you are saying he. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I am very much on the diversity. So
I'm so sorry. That's on me. I apologize.
No,
it's on me. And if it's a lady, I think that she must have been going through a lot of things at home as well. So just check if the home environment is she able to cope up with that? Is she really having the?
It's not that it's maybe the first time. It takes time because from moving from individual to any lead contributor is always a challenge.
Yes, yes. I apologize one more time.
No worries. It's always I value and diversity and inclusion. It's nothing else.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, this is kind of an inspirational sources, book recommendations, I would say.
We'll send you the PPT to all the participants. Some differences also.
I usually end all of my sessions, no matter if it's an L&D or psychology or anything as a matter or leadership presentations as well. I always end in a very on a quote rather. So this says emotional intelligence is not the opposite of intelligence. It is not the triumph of heart over head. It is the unique intersection of both. So I'll leave you guys with the thought, and any other questions will be welcome.
Sirisha, if someone wants to invite you for some kind of session, can you have some coordinates or LinkedIn?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
Oh, no. Okay. Okay, I got this right now.
Yeah, you got your answer.
Okay. Yes.
I'm trying to get the app name right.
They want your contact.
Oh, okay. It's right there on the screen now. Blinkist, yeah.
Okay, anyhow, we'll send these slides on the interest of time. I'm just, we are running 10 minutes about the time. So let me go back to the previous slides. Thank you, Sirisha. It's really insightful and learnings about the how to control emotions and all. It's really insightful session.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. And am I supposed to drop off the call, or I can just be on the call?
Yeah. Please stay back.
Okay, sure. Thank you everyone for your
time
on weekend.
Sirisha, can you please stay back for a minute?
Sure.
We just want to honor you with the. We want to honor you with the trees of 5 trees, which we planted at Sundarban National Park. We will share you the original certificate. You can track it also. Okay. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
And guys, you are going to award with the 1 PDU for attending this event. PDUs will be auto-credited within a week of the session. And please scan this and give us your valuable feedback. I'll just keep it for 10 seconds. You can scan and give us feedback to improve our sessions. And also, please wait for a group pic. Please, meanwhile, keep owning your videos. Please on your videos for a group pic.
Finally, I'll be able to see everyone's faces now.
Yeah, now we can get to see everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. So feedback matters a lot. So I request everyone to please share your feedback.
Venkataramanan, my name is Sirisha, not Abhinandan. On a lighter note,
So
sorry.
Yeah. And you have a QR code for all the PMIPCC social media handles. You can scan and connect. You can subscribe to YouTube. Also, this recording will be uploaded to YouTube. So now I request everyone to
stay up and smile.
Let me stop sharing the screen. Only few. Okay, let me also on video.
I think you can stop sharing the screen so that.
Yeah. Value review. Yeah, great. Still. Yeah, I encourage everyone to please on your videos for a quick selfie. Now screen is full with videos. Thank you. Thank you once again for joining our KSS session and give us the feedback and keep registering for upcoming events. Thank you. Thank you one and all.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a meeting.
Thank you, Naga.
Thank you.